This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and I am with Tyler Reks, former WWE superstar, and he competed a lot in wrestling, but he's retired now, on to other things, looking bigger than ever. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm actually sized down quite a bit compared to what I used to be. So appreciate the big notation.
Any tips on bulking up? Because I saw the picture, of course, that you sent me for the screenshot of this.
Yeah,
and you look absolutely massive there.
yeah, that was like my peak, man. I was 280 and about 8% body fat, I think, if I remember right. And actually, Brian Cage had come down for a workout, so that was did this monster chest workout with Cage that day. So that was a lot of fun. But dude, it's bulking up is literally consistency, man. It's about nutrition. It's about eating. Like that time, I was eating, God, I think it was 8 or 9 times a day, like literally force feeding food down my throat because I wanted to be huge. And then it's about training, get in, lift hard, lift heavy, and cardio. Like everybody hates cardio, but like you got to do it or you're just going to get fat. So, I mean, it's pretty much the 3 things that everybody knows. You just have to be incredibly dedicated to the cause.
As far as the carbs that you were taking in when you were that big, and you're still huge, obviously, what is your carb intake like?
Back then I was doing 50 grams a meal. And so you figure, 50 times, 9, whatever that works out to be. It's a buttload for 450 grams a day, then some. So, and that was just the meals. I didn't even count like post-workout shake. So post-workout, I would do, we'd do maltodextrin, and we just pound that as soon as the workout was over. We didn't count that as a meal either. And that was probably 60 to 80 grams of maltodextrin in a protein shake. So we'd slam that right after the workout in the last 10 minutes of the workout, slam that, go home, shower up, start cooking a meal right away. So you still hit that anabolic window in like 45 minutes when you're done working out. And so it was so much food, man. It was hard. We were taking digestive enzymes as well. So bromelain, like we chomp on that all day long just to get stuff like going through your system. So you just work backed up all day.
There's a fan on here that says he's a huge fan of yours and is wondering what you're benching currently.
Not that much, man. I'm pushing 3 plates for reps. I haven't tried to max out in a long time. I've found out that when you try to max out, you do way more injury to yourself, and you take a chance to do an injury every single time. So it's fun to do here and there, but I'm a little bit older than a lot of these young bucks out there. So the joints are starting to get a little weak and stuff. And I'd rather just push out reps. Probably the lowest I'll go is like 3 or 4 reps, and I'm 330-ish, something like that. After some reps, like 315. But back like in that pic, Hannibal, that you had up there for the featured image when I was with Cage, dude, we were pushing like 430, 435 all day long, like easy.
Hurricane Maverick on here is asking if you're still single, or are you banging?
I haven't been single, bro, since 2000. When did I get married? 2002. Yeah, I've been married for 18 years, man. Like I've been with my wife since she was 16. We were high school sweethearts. Got married in 2002. We just celebrated 18 years in July. So yeah, man. I didn't get a chance to partake in that wrestler life, I missed out on that.
That is pretty impressive for the wrestling business. Yeah. 18 years.
Yeah, man. It's kind of unheard of, like just in general, I think nowadays.
What sports did you play before you got into wrestling?
Well, I wrestled in high school, and I sucked, like really, really bad. I was terrible at it. I remember, here's a real funny story. So I was wrestling, I think it was my first year. It was like my very first tournament. And I was a skinny, scrawny kid. I think I was wrestling like 72, like 172, 173 was like the weight cutoff. So imagine me, 6'3", buck 72, 73, something like that. That was my like weight. And I had sucked on a popcorn kernel for 3 days just to make sure I could like cut weight and stay there. I didn't have to go to heavyweights. And I was so hungry, and we got to the tournament. I weighed in, made weight, and then as soon as I made weight, my mom got me like 2 giant Subway sandwiches. And so I just, downed them as fast as I could. It was just super bloated. And I went out for my first match, dude. I just remember like my stomach was just totally wrecked, dude. Like it was so wrecked. I remember like locking up with the dude. I was like, oh no, this is bad. This is bad. And I just finally were down on the mat, and he rolled me up some crazy pin, dude, where like I'm on my shoulder blades, my legs are over my head, my butt's in the air. And I had to fart so bad, dude. And I remember looking up, and there were these two chicks like on the side of the mat, like these two high school chicks. And I just couldn't, like, I went to kick out, and I farted so loud, dude. And I remember the look on the chicks' faces. They were just like, oh, and I'm just like, fuck it, just pin me now, dude. I just laid there. I'm like, I'm done, dude. This is just way too embarrassing. So,
yeah, I gave up on cutting weight and just went to heavyweight because I was having the same problems. Like, it's not worth the low energy. And then when you eat after, you feel like shit.
Yeah, it was just a constant problem. I'm gonna turn my phone on Do Not Disturb so it doesn't. There we go. Yeah, but as far as other sports, man, I snowboarded in college. Did a ton of snowboarding, man. I was a park rider and a pipe rider, and I almost competed. Opted not to. There was a point when I told my wife, we weren't married yet, and I told her at one point, I said, you know, babe, I think I'm gonna ditch college. I'm gonna go try pro snowboarding, and she talked me out of it. It was probably the best move on her part. But then after that, I did some competitive surfing when we moved to the beach. After we got married, we moved to South Orange County in California, just south of Laguna Beach, about 10 minutes. We lived in a little sleepy town called San Clemente. And I ended up just taking a board down there one day and got hooked. And so one thing led to another, did a couple competitions, and that was it, man. But it was that's pretty much what I did. And then one day, Rick Bassman comes to me and is like, hey, yo, dude, I know you're not really watching wrestling much, but let's talk. So that rest is history.
Yeah, because UPW had their school in San Clemente, didn't they?
Yeah, at that time, he had moved it down there. So it was literally, dude, 30-second walk from my condo. So it was super easy to get down there.
And they were still part of the WWE development system at that time, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like UPW had pretty much disbanded. So it was a couple of dudes, the Tommies, as I call them, Tommy and Tommy, and they were basically the coaches. And I would go once a week. I think it was on a Thursday night, and we'd train for like 2 hours, and it was just real basic stuff. I had no idea what I was doing, man. And they showed me how to bump, they showed me how to run the ropes, do a real basic match. But there must have been 6 people there, including whoever was coaching that night. And so that's kind of all that was left of it at the time.
Were any of the guys you were training with future WWE wrestlers as well?
Not that I was training with. Actually, Ezekiel Jackson, when I was just starting, he had literally just gotten picked up. So I got to meet Zeke before he got on the road and sent to development. So we got to talk briefly one night. And then Masters came down to visit one day when he was in between hiring and firing. When they fired him the first time, he had to go to rehab. So he came down and got to meet him, and it was pretty cool, man. It was fun. Got to meet him and got to be buddies with him, and then hooked up with him back on the road when I got up there.
Now, I know you weren't on the indies much, but Sean is asking if you have any crazy indies stories.
None, bro. I'm one of those guys that was in the right place at the right time. I didn't do any indies before I got signed. I literally walked in. So I'll tell the story very quickly. Rick calls me one day, Bassman, the owner of UPW, calls me one day, and he's like, "Okay, Gabe, I know you don't really watch wrestling much anymore." He goes, "But there's some scouts up at the gym." He's like, "Why don't you come on up and let them have a look at you? And maybe they'll think you're marketable. Like the worst thing that happens, they say no. The best thing is like, hey, man, why don't you come have a contract?" Okay, cool. So I walk up there, and they're like, dude, like 40 dudes bumping around, and they're like boots and underwear. What the hell did I just walk into, man? And so, but Bucci was there, and Bucci pulls me and these other 2 dudes aside and like, look, we know you don't know what's going on, but just watch, dude. We think you guys are marketable. Just watch for the night, and we'll put you in the ring tomorrow when nobody's here. So you got 2 left feet. So I came, we watched, we had a good time. It was fun. And then came back the next day, and they basically taught us how to like vault in and out of the ring, take some bumps, run the ropes, just to make sure we weren't super clumsy. Bucci's like, hey, man, you want to go to a tryout in Georgia? So it's like, yeah, let's do it. Sent me to try in Georgia. He said, you did great. Why don't you stick with Rick for a little bit, and then we'll just kind of keep an eye on you. And I trained for a year, and then I walked into Staples Center one day, and Johnny was there, Johnny Ace. It was kind of funny because I was bulking up at the time, And Rick would take me to every live event that was in Southern California. So we drive to like LA or San Diego when house shows were coming around and stuff. And I would see Johnny like every time. And when I started, I was like 220 pounds. And I just kept bulking up. He's like, hey, kid, how you doing? What are you weighing? I'm like, oh, 220, Johnny. He's like, okay, cool. Okay, well, have fun. So, all right, everybody. And we'd go back the next time. And, it was a couple months later. Hey, kid, what are you weighing? I'm like, 230, 240, something like that. He's like, okay, cool. But this is like 3 or 4 times this. Finally, like a year later, I get to Staples Center. And Johnny's like, hey, kid, what are you weighing? Like, 250. He's like, all right, let's go to Florida. What? Like, is it? He's like, yeah, let's go. I guess it was all about like how big I was at the time. He just wanted me to be huge before he signed me.
Wow. So I guess you were happy at that point, getting to basically train to be a wrestler and get paid.
Yeah. It's, I wasn't paid to go to Reks, but being paid to go to Florida was awesome, man. It was, I'd owned my own business and my wife had owned her own business. She had a personal training center. So this was like a big move for us. So we basically had to close down 2 businesses, take a massive pay cut, like massive. And I'm sure, the cost of living in Southern California is not cheap. So you have to offset that with income. If we were used to making a certain amount. And so when I got signed, I think I was making more than probably 80% of the guys that were in training. And they paid me, it was $750 a week, I think is what it was. So it was like $3,000 a month. Is that what it works out to be? $750, $1,500. Yeah, $3,000 a month before taxes. So I was 1099, which was, it was just enough to survive. It was enough to get an apartment and put food on the table and have a little excess spending money and pay for, our wrestling gear, like the boots and your trunks and everything like that. So it was just enough to get by, and I was stoked. I'm like, well, let's do it. My wife was cool. She goes, look, I've done everything I want to do. Let's go chase your dream. Like, all right, cool. So we literally closed up shop, foreclosed on our condo because we couldn't figure out how to sell it. We just like left that whole life behind and then moved to Florida, man. February 1st, 2008 was my first day.
And what was FCW like? We know that NXT now has the Performance Center, but I was at FCW for my tryout, and it was hardly the Performance Center from what I could tell of the building.
When were you there?
2009.
Oh, I was there, dude. Yeah. It was wow. Yeah, the 3 rings are in the back. So it was just giant warehouse. When I got there, I mean, we didn't even have bathrooms. We didn't have running water or sewer. So you walk in, and remember, it's Florida, so it's super hot and humid. There's a giant warehouse in the back. There were 3 rings side by side with a walkway, probably as big as my office. So you could walk back and forth. But there were bathrooms, but again, like you couldn't use the toilets because there was no fucking sewer, no running water. And then they were finishing building the arena. We didn't have the ring in there yet. And the arena was just a real small local TV taping area. And then they had the front concession area. It was super small. But like we literally, when we got our bathroom breaks, we had to run across the street to the gas station to like go poop or piss. And like half the time we just pissed out the freaking, we'd open like the doors, the big like rolling doors, we'd just piss out the back until one of the business owners complained about us, like showing our things and pissing in the grass. I mean, it was bad, man. I remember there was one day we had to call practice. It was, we were doing man in the middle. I'm sure you had to do that, right, Hannibal? They put you through that mess?
I vaguely remember it because it was so long ago and I was only there for the week tryout thing.
Yeah, I'm sure they made you do it. But basically, for anybody that isn't familiar with it, you get one guy inside the ring on each post. And then the man in the middle is the guy in the middle. And basically what happens is the coach at that time was Dr. Pritchard. Tom Pritchard, Doc would call out a spot and he'd start. It's like, all right, arm drag. And so everybody would feed for a drag one at a time, and the guy in the middle would give a drag, give a drag, give a drag, give a drag, and stand up. Okay, hip toss. Everybody would feed for hip toss, feed for hip toss. And then the spots would get longer and longer, and it was like, lock up, do this, small package, lock up, do this, boom, and it just, it's like an hour of one person in the middle. I mean, some of them got that long, but typically, let's say 20, 25 minutes a person. It was so hot this one day that we were sweating so hard. We were doing like drop down leapfrogs, and one of them was like a baseball slide. This was something on the leapfrog. We were sliding, and the freaking like the sweat was coming up like water, like a wake, and it was just spraying everybody. And it was just at one point, Doc's like, all right, dude, we're done. We can't do this, man. It's just foul. So we had to pull the canvases off, and they made us like hang them up to dry them out before we left for the day. It was asinine, man. But eventually they got, Steve Kern built everything out, and he got air conditioning in there. And once the AC was in there, we're like, dude, this is cool. And when the bathrooms got working, that was, lavish, dude. But now I heard like over in Orlando, they got like saunas and TV rooms, and like they got a whole weight center over there, all that stuff. It's like a legitimate training center.
Yes.
Yeah. We missed out, bro. We missed out.
I don't think that they've produced as many stars though as FCW has yet. Even though
I don't know, man. I still see guys like, D-Mac, like Drew's up there still, and he's killing it, man. Like Drew's still there. I know Heath was there until recently. Well, I mean, I don't really keep up much. I know Usos are still there, so they're doing something right. Roman Reigns, bro. Joe was there when I was there, man. I remember him coming up being super shy. Like he was the nicest dude, just like the shyest guy, super quiet. Like, hey man, what's up? And now look at him, dude. Like top of the world.
Yeah, I think Roman Reigns is by far the biggest star they have now that Brock Lesnar seems to be not with the company for the moment.
Yeah.
So you beat Drew McIntyre for the title there at one point, didn't you? Yeah,
that was the handoff, man. He had gotten called up to TV. So, the way that works is basically when you get the title in FCW, it's basically that's like their way of saying, hey, you're next to get called up. And Drew he gotten the word to get called up. And I'm like, all right, Reks, we're gonna give the title to you, so you guys work it out. But I always loved working Drew, but I hated it at the same time. Like you knew Drew was going to make an awesome match. And I'm not going to try to take credit for anything because Drew was just like a mastermind. I would say stuff like, I wasn't in the business that long, and Drew had been in it since he was a kid. And so here I am with all these generic spots. I'm like, oh, why don't we do this? Oh, why don't we do this instead and this instead, and we'll do this. And it just, the way he thinks, it was so different, and he just made shit so cool. But bro, it's just like he would lay his shit in. Like there was nothing that was softballed at all. Like every club to the back, every punch to the face was like in the neck, and just like he hits you in the nose, like, sorry, here we go, boom, just shake it off. Like, all right, dude, whatever, I'm rocked, but let's keep going. But it was such an awesome match. Like you can never ever have a bad match with McIntyre.
And when you were called up to ECW, how did they approach you with that idea?
That was weird, man. So they brought me, Sheamus. Actually, I think Sheamus has been on the road for a while. Me, Sheamus, Yoshi, a couple other guys, and we were just doing. We weren't even doing dark matches, dude. I had never had a dark match, and they had given. Sheamus was the guy they were doing all the dark matches with. I think Drew was up there too, but basically they brought us up to literally have us practice before the shows. So we get called up, we'd go to Raw and we'd go to SmackDown. That was it. No house show loops, no nothing like that. And the ring goes up pretty close to call time. Sorry guys, got allergies here in Texas. To get the ring up, as soon as the ring goes up, if call time's noon for Raw and Raw doesn't start till 6, so we got 6 hours to practice, dude. So they would just put us in there, and you'd have all the vets just sitting around the side of the ring. Cena be there, Jericho, Mark Henry, and then you got Arn and Dean and all these producers. And they're like, all right, guys, well, here you go to it. So Arn would put me in there with somebody, and we just do our thing, and we get picked apart. And basically they just work on us. And so we're not thinking anything of it. We've been doing this for a month and a half. And we're like, all right, cool, nothing's happening. And then one night, Carano calls us into his office, and it's me, Sheamus, Yoshi, and Taryn Terrell. I don't remember. I think her name was Tiffany or something like that. It was Taryn. It was Drew's girlfriend at the time. And we're just going like, hey, what's going on, man? And Carano goes, all right, guys, this is it. I'm like, this is what? Like, you're all on the show tonight. I'm like, what? Like, tonight? Yeah. He's like, we're giving you the ball. Don't drop it. Okay, cool. That was it, dude. He's like, get out of here. Go get your matches. I'm like, oh, okay. So literally that was it. Like we got pushed out. I had a match with Zack Ryder on Superstars. I think we were supposed to have 8 minutes is what we were supposed to have. And we planned, Jamie Noble was my producer. And we planned this really cool match. And it was Zack over. but the idea was to make me look good. Like New Superstar Initiative was a thing they were doing. So we had all this cool stuff planned. It was going to go pretty good. And then all of a sudden, Janie's like, shit, man, I cut a minute. All right. Well, we can just cut a little stuff out. And so we're down to 7. And he comes back. Zach and I are trying to cut some of stuff out. He comes back like 5 minutes later. He's like, damn it, we lost another minute. Okay, you got 6 minutes with entrances. Okay, cool. We can do this. By the time all was said and done, we had, I think it was we had 5 minutes with entrances. And so Zach got his, I'm like, don't give me an entrance. Just go. Like, well, we're going to give you an entrance. Just go straight to the ring. Okay. So by the time we got in the ring, we had like just over 3 minutes to do a match, which was just insane. So we just literally threw some shit together. Zach let me bump him around for the first 30 seconds, went to the heat, then did the comeback. Like, that was it, dude. He gave me the freaking thing to the neck, and I was done. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that was fun. It just literally came out of nowhere. So it was a good night, though, man. I'll never forget that feeling walking out on stage, because I'd never done it before. And I don't know how many of your viewers have ever had the opportunity to hear somebody say what it's like to go out on their very first night and not have a dark match. Probably none, because I remember I walked out there and just lights everywhere. You can't really see much except the stage in front of you. You know there's people out there. You can hear them, and it's kind of dark. And once you take a couple steps forward and you get past the lights, then you see that sea of heads, like this intense energy and people just looking at you. You know, it's not football, it's not baseball. There aren't 20 guys on the field. They're looking at you, you know? And so you're just going, oh, shit, I better make this good. It's all the huge adrenaline rush. It was just such an amazing feeling, man. Like, I will never forget that first match. It was probably one of the coolest moments of my life.
And there's a fan on here that wants to know what it was like working with Loki. I'm not sure at what point you worked with him.
Yeah. Working with Loki was the worst part about it. Like, I used to like him. Like, him and I were kind of buddies, but Loki always screwed people over, man. And he played dirty. He tried to injure people. And so, like, I don't know, man. I like the guy, but then I had my shot. He was kind of like moping around backstage during the NXT thing or whatever it was, and he was supposed to go to bragging rights. So this is when I got my break. They had taken me off TV because the babyface thing wasn't working. I was too big. The heels were mostly smaller dudes, so it was really hard to get behind a babyface that was getting the crap beat out of him for like the entire heat. And most, you know, some of your fans probably know that most of the match is the heat where the babyface gets the crap beat out of him, so you get some sympathy. And the crowd just couldn't get behind it. I was too big. So they repackaged me as a heel, and I've been working on it for like 6 months, just doing dark matches. And, you know, Vince was just tired of Loki like moping around backstage, just being a poo-poo face is what we're calling it. He would just lose matches because that's what he was told to do, and he'd just bitch about it. So he had a match with Big Show. He was supposed to be in bragging rights. And Vince goes, all right, we're putting Reks in his place. And they was like, what? I'm like, yep. Like, what's your plans for Reks? Like, we don't have any. Like, we'll get some quick because he's going to be in bragging rights. So I got the Iggy that night that I was going to go take Caval's spot. And basically we go out there, and it was, you know, real quick. He gets, you know, 1 or 2 things in. I give him a big boot, and then I give him the burning hammer. And, you know, Kaval knows how to take it. Like, we've done it before in practice many times. I'll never forget. You guys, if you YouTube this right now on the side, you'll laugh. Like, we do our stuff. I put him up in the burning hammer, and he just takes his hand and he just covers my face like this so the camera cannot see my face. And, you know, with that incident, you go, well, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe he wasn't comfortable taking it. But, you know, we've done it a million times, and he never put his hand over my face to cover my face. So did it, no big deal. I was like, hey, thanks, bro. Didn't even think twice about it. You know, I watched, I'm like, oh, that kind of sucks, but whatever. Then later, we get into some house shows. And this is, you know, a year down the road when I'm much more seasoned. You know, I've been working with Hawkins a lot. And so we've been doing loops. And I feel like I knew my shit. And we had a lot of matches with Kofi and Bourne. We were doing the Superstars matches. And that was great, man. But then I had this house show loop with Loki, and we did 2 matches. And the first night, there was some like fuckery going on where some things were just kind of unsafe. And I was like, what the hell? And then the second night we did it again. I don't remember exactly what he did, but he basically like tried to take my knee out. And Arn saw it, everybody saw it. And, you know, I didn't like beat the piss out of him or anything. I just kind of took control of the match, finished it, and walked off like kind of pissed off because I knew what he was doing because it wasn't part of the plan. I remember Arn pulled me aside. He's like, "Yo, Rex, you okay? Did he get you?" I'm like, "Yeah, he got me, but it didn't hurt me." I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine. It was some dirty shit." So Loki's good, but he's just dangerous, dude, and he does sneaky shit like that. So that's why I don't have anything good to say about him. Like I like to say good things about people. I'm a very positive person now, but that's one person I can't walk away from that saying, "Yeah, he was great to work with." Nah, he tried to take my knee out. You know, he tried to hurt me, and that just wasn't cool. Like I never did anything to the guy. I was always nice to him. I was always nice to everybody. At least I think I was.
So a lot of people wonder why his WWE run wasn't more successful. Do you think it had to do with various incidents like that?
Oh yeah, that was totally like everybody knew. That was 100% of the problem. He just was like poo-poo face backstage, bitching about everybody, and it's one of those things where, yeah, there's a lot of politics involved. So it's who you know, who you get to be buddies with. But you know, Loki was just like bitching backstage about everybody, and he always, you know, he's been in the business a long time, and he does know a lot of stuff. He knows how to make a good match, but at that level, it's like you kind of gotta like step softly, if you know what I mean, and stepping softly doesn't include bitching about people that are trying to make you look good, you know, like people that are up the ladder a little more, or even the guys that are at your same level, you know, just like, "Oh, these pieces of shit, they don't know what they're fucking doing, and I should have won that match. This is bullshit." And, you know, it's like a water cooler at work. Like word travels so fast. You think everybody's a snitch, everybody's a spy, and Vince hears everything. So at 99% sure that was the reason he didn't get a push.
Priest of Sodom is wondering what your thoughts are of male wrestlers marrying female wrestlers.
I don't really care, to be honest, man. Like you're on the road for so long that becomes your family. You know, you see these people every day. You travel everywhere. You stay in the same hotels. I mean, it's only a matter of time before like some chemistry happens between some people. It makes it hard. There was when I was there, talent relations would purposely split couples. So if there were legitimate couples, like Morrison, man, they split them. Melina and Morrison, like they purposely put them on different shows back in the days because they didn't want any of the drama, and they didn't want that. They didn't want it interfering with the show and the matches, and I can understand that. But there's only so much you can do. You know, you're going to be around people, and it's a matter of time before that stuff happens. Does it create politics? Yeah, of course it does, man. So I mean, you got Cena married to a Bella, and you got, you know, Dragon, Daniel Bryan married to a Bella. So it's, you know, that creates some politics, but, you know, good for them. They earned it. They've been there since day one, and, you know, that kind of stuff's going to happen.
And as far as Vince, Hurricane Maverick is wondering, was Vince nice to you or was he a prick to you?
Vince was always super cool with me. He's very aloof. So unless you get to know him really well, even then I've heard some stories where he's just like snaps on people. And I would always shake his hand and be quick. "Hey, Vince, how you doing?" You know, I had a meeting with him when I first got there, and he did that with all the new talent. Just wanted to talk. I remember he had his lobster served up to him, so he's eating lobster while I'm there talking to him. And he was nice. He was very like he's the boss kind of talk, and just told him the basics. Left, and then I had another meeting with him at one point when Masters and I were on Superstars. We had that long run. I told Vince, I walked up to him one day. I'm like, "Vince, I need to talk to you for 2 seconds." Like, "Yeah, what do you want, kid?" I said, "Look, you guys have Masters and I'm doing this we're doing matches every week. Well, why don't you just make this into a storyline? I know Superstars doesn't have story. This is back when we had WWE Superstars. There's no storylines. Why not make it like a show? Well, you got Raw, SmackDown, like make this Masters of my show." And he looked at me, he's like, "Oh yeah?" Well, "Yeah, dude, I'll come to every Raw. I'll come to every SmackDown on my own dime." I'm like, "You tell me what I got to do." He's like, "All right, go make it happen." Okay, cool. So like that was awesome. Then we had our run, but it, you know, never went anywhere. Even though I suggested it, I don't know if he didn't like it or whatever, but it never went anywhere. And then when Hawkins and I did the stripper thing, like Vince loved that. Him and Kevin just loved that. That was Triple H's idea, and he just had a huge heart on for it. And I remember before we went out for the first time, we went back to talk to him and Kevin, and just like, "Hey, anything you want us to do or not do?" He's like, "Nope, this is great. I love it." Kevin looked at me. Kevin's like, "Thumbs up." Well, okay, that's it. Just make it good, guys. I'm like, "All right, cool." So I had never had any problems with him, man. He was always super cool.
And I understand you were on a pre-WrestleMania Battle Royal, I think at
Yeah,
WrestleMania 26. What was that like?
that was great, dude. At that point, I was at that level where I recognized like I'm not going to get a match. It's WrestleMania, and I'm here to do access matches. But knowing that there was a battle royal and it was going to be pre-show, I'm like, well, that goes on the DVD. I'm like, that's cool, that's awesome, man. And whoever's watching on internet or whatever, or I don't even know if they showed that on the pay-per-view or not, but maybe it was internet only back then. But knowing one that it was WrestleMania was awesome, and they had 80,000 people at that event. And I remember walking down that ramp, and that was the longest ramp I had ever walked down. I was blowing up just trying to get to the ring. But I remember walking out, and there were so many people that you couldn't even make out faces. They were just dots, just literally like hazy dots, like way up high. And there's an energy with every crowd, and you can feel it, and it's palatable. Like you thrive off of it, and the energy in that crowd, because that was the first thing they had seen all night, was just unreal. Like I know they weren't cheering for me specifically because half of them didn't know me, but they were just on fire. Like we were walking down the ramp, like freaking out over the ramp. Like God, they don't even know who we are. This is awesome. But we got in the ring and we had our plan, and there was like 30 of us in there, something like that, I think, and it was just like a big goof around, make it good. It's WrestleMania, but like me and Kane and Goldust like giving each other nut shots in there and stuff. I'm like, I know Vince isn't watching this, and he's never gonna watch it. Let's go have some fun. So like I think Cody Rhodes was in there too, and we just had a blast, man. We goofed around and smiled the whole time and tried to cover our smiles. Like, holy shit, dude, this is fucking WrestleMania. Yeah, it's badass. So it was great, dude. And when I got tossed out, I just like looked around. Like, God, that was awesome. That was a once in a lifetime opportunity. That was pretty damn cool.
I know you did some stuff with Alberto Del Rio when you were on the SmackDown roster. How did you like working with him? And have you heard about all this stuff that's been going on with him lately?
Nothing. I haven't been into the scene lately, but Del Rio was awesome, man. Like him and Chavo and me and Drew would hang out on the road, and Del Rio was such a cowboy, dude. He was so fun. Like, he doesn't, I don't know if he seems like the guy that would just be the party starter, but he was, man. Like we did some things and some stuff, let's just put it that way. He was always cool to me, and we had a blast, man. Like we did a Euro tour with him, and we ended up hog tying Swoggle with duct tape on one of those. Like he had the first match, and I don't know where we were in Europe, but it was like Del Rio's idea. It's just me, Chavo, Del Rio, and Drew like ran out, totally unscripted. And I remember Arn and Dean like, "What are you doing?" We ran out. We had black duct tape, and we literally hogtied Hornswoggle next to the ring. We just left him there, just at the end of his match. So yeah, it's kind of stuff Del Rio did. But what's happening with him now, man?
I won't even get into it because I don't have the information in front of me. But he's in some legal trouble related to allegedly assaulting some woman.
I don't know. I'm saying hands off, dude. The world's too volatile right now. I don't want to say nothing.
Yeah, but I don't have the facts in front of me, so it's not worth getting into. Is there anyone, probably Hawkins, I'll imagine, but anyone that you traveled with on the road while you were with WWE?
Yeah. Before Hawkins, it was Masters. So Masters and I would travel, dude, every week. And it was convenient because he was in LA. I was north of San Francisco, about 40 minutes. So they would fly us both out on red eyes Thursday night. So he'd catch an Uber or cab or whatever to LAX, and I'd they had like a bus that went from my city to San Francisco. Excuse me. So I'd catch that. We'd catch a red eye. Him and I would hook up in the morning. We'd literally pay for a hotel, split the room, and we'd walk in and crash and just sleep all day. And then we'd have the match for the house shows on Friday night. And then when Hawkins and I started tagging, it was always Hawkins and I driving everywhere. If it wasn't Hawkins to me, it was like me and TJ. Hornswoggle was always great. He would travel with Hawkins and I or somebody. He was awesome, man. Like Dylan's probably one of the coolest people that you'll ever meet. At first you're like, oh, he's a midget. But then it's like, oh yeah, he's probably the coolest person I've ever met. But not only because he's a great person, but because he's so small. And when you get as a new wrestler, you're paying for everything, man. I don't know if everybody knows this, but you get your small salary. They pay me $100,000 a year, but got to pay taxes. and you pay all your road expenses. So except for your flights, you pay for your rental cars, your hotels, your gym membership, or your day fee. So like we go to a gym, sometimes it's like $30 to go work out, food, gas. You take a rental car from wherever you land and do a house show loop, you drive like 1,200 miles and it's one way. So imagine the cost of that rental car. So we split stuff. And so the guys we shack up, we get 2 beds, and Swaggle was great, dude. So we'd split it 3 ways. And I remember the first time I roomed up with him and Hawkins, I'm like, yo, dude, you want the bed? I'll get the floor the first night. He's like, no, dude, I'll take the chair. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'll take the chair. And Hawkins like, oh yeah, he's great at this. Well, what? He's like, yeah, he's like a cat. He just snuggles up on the chair. It's literally what happened. He just grabbed a blanket, he just snuggled up on the chair, and he fit perfectly. So we split the room 3 ways. We each got a bed. Hornswoggle got a chair, and it was awesome, man.
No, I think you and Hawkins had a little mini feud with Ryback. How was he to work with? He seems like a interesting character.
Yeah. Reeves and I are actually buddies, man. We have been since FCW, and Hawkins was there with him. He's super cool, man. He was great. We were there to kind of make sure that, not make sure, like Ryback was going to be great no matter what, but they trusted us and they knew that we knew him. They're like, hey, we need 2 guys to go out there and feud and build him up. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it, man. And I don't take that the wrong way. Like, oh yeah, we're the ones that built him. I don't want anybody to think that I said that. It's just happenstance. We were right place, right time. We weren't anything great. We were just mid-card guys, and Ryback was going up. Like, hey, Hawkins and Reks are perfect. We're building this monster. Reks is a pretty big guy. So I remember we started off with, I think, singles matches is how it started, where I think Hawkins was first and he got squashed. And then I think I had a match with him and I was actually able to take him down. They wanted me to take him down for just a second. And then it was like a quick finish. And then we did the pay-per-view. And I don't remember which one it was, but it was like 2-on-1. And it went good, man. Like Reeves was super stiff, but it was safe. It was like on all the right places. It needed to look good. I will say, and it's funny, I did Ryback's podcast like a month or 2 ago, I think is what it was. And we were talking about the match that we did at the pay-per-view. And I never, I never told him this. I remember saying, Rock, bro, go easy on me, but I don't think he heard me in the match. At the end of the match, I fed from one of his clotheslines. And I remember, dude, he was just in the moment and he just hit me so hard. It wasn't anything unsafe. He hit me right in the chest where it should have been, pec to pec connection. And I just ran in full speed. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be the best bump of my life, dude. We gotta make this look super good as pay-per-view. And I just ran in and thump, like my feet left the ground. I remember my feet going numb. I was like, oh my God. I hit the mat and he just picks me up. I'm like, bro, I'm totally rocked. I'm like, go easy on me. And then just shell shock. I'm like, nope, he didn't hear me. That was great. Like, I have no complaints, man. He's easy to work with. He just like D-Mac, man. Like, he lays his shit in, but it's safe. You can't be a pussy and be in this business, dude. If you can't take a punch, you don't belong in wrestling, dude. The stuff that we did, to be point blank honest, we had NFL players come for tryouts at FCW and they'd leave after 3 days. Like, can't handle this shit, dude. This is too rough. We were nice to them too. We didn't beat the piss out of them because Ty wanted them to stay, and Doc's like, hey, don't scare them too much. But they still left. So you have to be able to like, you gotta have thick skin. You gotta be tough, dude. Like, this isn't a business for twinkle toes.
I don't know if you remember this, but there's a guy on here that says he almost hit you in the parking lot at a Gold's Gym in Roanoke. It was his fault, but you were nice to him.
I got on the car and apologized. Oh, was it me? Like, I don't know what.
Apparently, it was his fault, but you apologized, and he says you were very nice.
Oh, that's good to know, man. I always tried to be nice, dude. That was a really interesting era because that was when the internet was just becoming a thing. And I remember the brass, they just didn't believe in it, dude. That's when we did our mid-card mafia cartoon, our horrible South Park style cartoon that took off like a rocket. And they told us not to do it. We did it anyway. And then Johnny basically told me after 3 episodes, he's like, don't do it or you're going to get fired. So, okay. And now, hey, guys, look what's out right now. There's the real foul-mouthed cartoon with like Cena and Austin. I'm like, imagine that. But all I had to say, this is when the internet was coming out, and not coming out, but just it was starting to be a thing. Twitter was around and the fans were getting smart, man. Like, they knew it's a show. But the vets were just like, yo, if you're a heel, you don't talk to these fans, man. Like, you give them the stink eye. You don't sign autographs. You don't do that shit, dude. And that was the hardest part, man. When I became a heel, I walk around the vets, like all the baby faces would go sign autographs when we're in the airport, and they're like, "Oh, Tyler." It's kind of like, "Oh shit, I'm not supposed to." I'm like, "Sorry, kid." And I have to put my head down and keep walking. And there just was a point when, if anybody knows me, has ever followed me outside of wrestling, you just know that's not my personality. I'm a super positive person, and I just leaving somebody with like anger or malice or feeling bad, just it's not me, man. It doesn't feel right. And so there was a point when I was like, you know what, screw it, man. I don't care what people say. I'm gonna go sign some autographs. Be like, hey guys, what's up? And so the parking lot incident is hopefully representative of what most of the fans saw. There was like a small 3-month period where I was like, I wouldn't sign autographs because I was told not to. But for the most part, I was always trying to be super cool because I realized like these fans, dude, they're smart. Like without them, we have nothing. Without these, they can hate us out there, but they know what to show. Like I want them to hate me when I'm performing because I was the heel. That's my job. And if they love me outside the ring, they love us because we're nice guys, they're going to hate me even more in the ring because they know they're supposed to hate me. So that was kind of the mentality I had at that time. So thanks, dude. I'm glad you remember me not getting mad at you.
Did you have much interaction with CM Punk when you were back there?
Nah, kind of. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, I just remember getting screwed over by him, and it sucked, dude. Like, I liked the guy. I looked up to him. He was always really weird. Like, I couldn't get a bead on him. I remember talking to guys like Hawkins who've known Punk all their life. He's like, yeah, don't be offended by it. That's just who he is. Like, even I can't get a read on the guy. It's hard. And so I'd walk by him and backstage like, hey, what's up, Punk? And he's like, what's up? And just keep walking. And just he's like, hey, what's up, Reks? I'm like, oh, hey, dude, what's up, man? I guess okay, we're cool. But I remember at the Rumble when Nexus was just coming out, we were in the back and we were planning the Rumble out, and we got what was going down. It was Punk, Wyndham, and Joe. Bray Wyatt. So Bray Wyatt, and then what's fucking Perfect's? What's his gimmick now? He's Curtis Axel. That's right. Yeah, it's been so long, dude. So it's Wyatt and Axel, and then Punk's in the middle. And the Rumble basically was like, look, this is Nexus's Rumble, guys. We got to make them look good. So it's going to be this order, and you guys are going to go out. You're going to get about 20 seconds max, maybe 30, and get out, guys. They're going to be short. And everybody's kind of disappointed, but I'm just going, hey, dude, it's a fucking Rumble. And I think I was 7th out, and there was like, we're calling it backstage, and there's a huge meeting. I mean, every producer's there, everybody that's in the Rumble's there. And I think I said something like, hey, dude, I'm totally cool with it, because they were just kind of, everybody's disappointed. And I just spoke up like, yo, guys, it's fine with me. I'll do whatever you guys want. Let's just tell me what you need. I remember Punk stood up, and it was really interesting because remember I said this because it's going to be interesting when I tell you what happened. He stands up like, hey, guys, give Reks a big hand. This is the great attitude. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I just want to say thanks. We appreciate you guys working with Reks. Thanks so much, man. So everybody claps. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That was whatever. So we plan it out. And Punk comes over with Joe and Wyndham, Wyatt and Axel. He goes, look, man, want to make you look good because, this is your first Rumble. Like, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And he goes, why don't you come running down ball fire, slide in. I'll be on my knee. I'll have he's doing his knee thing. And Joe and Wyndham are on each side. He's like, come in, just boot me right in the face. Just right here real hard. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, hit Joe, hit Wyndham, and then it's going to take 2 of them to get you down, and we'll make you look really strong. And then when it's time, we'll just go right to the high kick. You go out. It'll be short, but we'll make sure you look good. I'm like, hey, that's awesome, man. Thank you. So backstage, I'm all pumped up, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I come screaming down, and the crowd was on fire. They still didn't really know me, but I think I was one of the bigger guys that they had seen with that look when my dreads were super long, and I just looked fierce, and I could feel the energy, man. It was amazing. And I remember I slid in, and Punk was still on his knees. He was supposed to start standing up for me, and he was still on his knee. I'm like, what's going on, man? And I slid in, and as I stand up, I go to give him a kick, and before I could get my knee up, both Joe and Wyndham, or Wyatt and Axel, they bum rushed me, dude, and they just boom, like both of them took me down. Like, what the fuck? I'm like, guys, what's going on, man? They just beat the piss out of me. I'm like, hey, I'm like, we're all super good friends. Like Joe and Wyndham and me, real good buddies. I'm like, what's going on? What are you doing? It's like, we're changing it. Okay. Just tell me what to do. What's the plan? Like, hang on, just go down. Okay. So I'm waiting for my moment. I'm like, okay, what's the plan? Like, tell me the plan. It's a major pay-per-view. I got to know. Go down. I'm like, okay. So I go down, and they pick me up, and I'm selling. All of a sudden I hear this high kick. I'm like, what? I turn around, and Punk just boom, high kicks me. I'm like, what the fuck just happened, dude? And out I go. Well, okay, well, that sucked. So I go backstage and I'm watching the rest of the Rumble. You know, and I'm not doing the poo-poo face like Loki. I'm just like, hey, cool, whatever. Shit, that really sucked. I lost a moment, but whatever. Stone Cold comes up to me and he goes, hey, man. He goes, I talk to you for a second. I'm like, yeah, let's talk, bro. Anytime, man. And he goes, I'm gonna bet. He's like, first of all, great energy, man. He goes, I'm gonna bet you were doing what you were told. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it was weird, man. We had some stuff planned and it all changed. He goes, you feel that energy when you ran down that ramp? I'm like, yeah, I definitely felt it. He's like, because I felt it. I'm like, okay. He goes, when you feel that energy, man, he goes, doesn't matter what the plan is. He's like, if you're supposed to go out, go out, but get your shit in. Like, that is your moment. And don't ever let anyone take it away from you. He's like, I bet you're probably nervous about what Vince is going to say or you lose your job. He's like, you get one shot at things like this, man. He goes, I'm like, yeah, dude, they tell us, like, do what you're told, you get fired. And he's like, fuck that, man. He's like, you got to take a chance. He's like, next time that opportunity, he goes, if there's a next time, because you take that opportunity, kid. He's like, you look great. He's like, you came down with a ball of fire. And he's like, I was rooting for you. He's like, I'll be honest, I was rooting for you. And I'm like, okay, well, cool, man. Thanks for the advice. And then I saw Punk after the Rumble. I would kind of walk back in the gorilla area and he's like, thanks, Reks. I'm like, okay, see you later, dude. Like, that was it. Like, he didn't give two shits, and it was just him, stepping on heads to get to the top. And I'm like, okay. If you told me earlier, like, that was the plan, I would have done it. Like, because that's what I do. Cool, no problem. I wouldn't have put up a fight. But, I'm going to be dirty about it. So that's my experience with Punk. I'm trying to keep it positive.
That's how people are in the wrestling business, though, for the fans that haven't been involved. Like, as you said, two of those guys were your friends.
Yeah.
But they still kind of tricked you in that to make themselves look better as well.
Well, they were scared, It's like they're doing what they're told. Punk's like, do this, don't you say a thing. Okay, cool, whatever. It's just, if I had known, it's my own fault because not picking up on those signals and not realizing that sooner and being so nervous to take a chance, that was probably my biggest downfall. And looking at who I am now compared to who I was back then, I was nervous, man. I left everything behind. Like I said earlier, I dropped everything, dude. We closed 2 businesses down. I foreclosed on my home to go chase this. I'm like, I don't want to lose this job. This is a once in a lifetime shot. And it was moments like that made me realize, well, shit, this may not be worth it. And like who I am now, like, I don't take shit from nobody. It's like, I don't miss opportunities. I don't, and one of the things I always say is, time is ticking backwards. We get one life. We don't get to do this a second time. There's no reset button. There's no rewind. Whatever time that you've wasted is gone and you cannot get that back. And every moment we're getting older and we're getting closer to whenever our time is. And so when you think about that, you start thinking, okay, I got to take some action. And one of these moments, like the Rumble, I'll never get that chance back. I'll never get multiple chances back that I could have taken. But I didn't think about that. I always thought there'd be another day, or there'd be, next time, or just hang on for a year. It's like, no, guys, it's not like that. This is your moment. No matter who you are, what you're doing, where you think you are, like, you're not stuck. There's always options. And there's always a chance to seize an opportunity. And if I can give you one piece of advice, it's do not wait for opportunity. You've got to go out there and you've got to make it happen. And when that thing presents itself, you got to go with your gut. And you got to seize it. That's probably the best advice I give anybody.
Now, German lady, I'm not sure if this is actually her in the picture. If it is, she's pretty attractive. She's asking which wrestler death impacted you the most. You're fairly young, so I hope not too many of your close friends have passed already.
No, I haven't lost anybody. The closest one that I lost, oh God, take that back, dude. Jesus, Shad. Yeah, God, it's so fresh. Yeah, Shad and I were buddies, dude. Like JTG and Shad and I were like really good friends, and that was a shocker. I was trying to think. We're talking about my wrestling time, and so I was thinking back then, and I didn't know anybody that had died. Like this whole Shad thing rocked me, dude. Like rocked me really hard, especially because it was only like a year ago. We were over at Gold's in Venice. He was supposed to come work out with us and he couldn't make it. I hadn't seen Chad in like 2 years. He was supposed to come and work out with us. He couldn't make it. So we missed that opportunity. And I mean, he was just the coolest coolest guy ever, man. Like, you know, not all heroes wear capes. That was Shad. And like, I'm kind of getting choked up talking about it because it's just way too close to home, man. Way too close to home. I remember, I remember texting Jay as soon as I found out, and I could tell like he was pretty fucked up over it. So I called him, and it just like, what are you gonna say? Like, he knew, I knew, we like, they were still, the search parties were out there, and like, we knew. Like, I surfed all my life, and I'm like, I knew, dude, he knew, and it just sucked, man. It sucked. That's one of those guys that you think you're gonna grow old and just joke around like when you're 80, like, you know, I got way more gray in my beard than I got now. He's still gonna be cracking jokes and picking up people over his head and stuff like that. And that's just it's life, man. It goes back to that thing I said, you know, you just never know when your day is gonna come. From the second you're born, like, your clock is ticking. And you know, you could be like Shad, and you could be out there having a great time with your kid, and something random happens. That could be it. Like, so you damn well better make sure that you have done everything you wanted to do, and not hesitate, man. Like, if God, like, it's just one of those moments where I feel like, you know, Hannibal, hope I'm not taking up too much time. I just feel like I got to say it. You know, it's like, if you are just sitting there and you are just, there's so many people that feel like, I got to wait for the next paycheck, wait for the next stimulus check, or I got this thing I wanted to do, but, you know, I got to save my money. It's like, dude, what is that thing you wanted to do? What are, you know, to everybody watching, man, if I can tell you, just pick 3 things you've always wanted to do in your life. 3 things. I don't give a shit what it is. I don't care how outrageous it is. 3 things, man. Write it down. Like, if you're on your laptop, open up a Word doc, write them down. If you're on your phone, like, scroll over, get a notepad, or if you got a pen, I know some of us still use pens, take a pen out, man, and write down those 3 things. And then what I want you to do is I want you to pick hard dates. Like, by when could you do this? And I'm not talking 10 years down the road. I'm talking like in the next year. When could you make this happen? Because you guys see all the shit going on in the world. Like, we went from being a totally free country to lockdown. Like, that happened overnight. Like, how many of you guys want to travel? How many of you guys want to buy a house? How many of you guys want to, you know, go try out to be a pro wrestler? How many of you always wanted to start a family? How many want to say, fuck your boss, I want to go work for myself? Like, what's going to take, man? How many people that you know are going to die before you realize how short life is? So pick those 3 things, write a date, like, in the next year for all 3 of those things. And if it's something that's going to take, and you know it's going to take you longer, it's going to be a 2-year thing, that's fine. Write it down, but then do this for me. Work backwards, man. Cut that up. Like, if you got to be here, you got to have X amount of money saved to do this thing. Work backwards, dudes. Let's say you got a year. By this date, I'm going to do this thing. 6 months from, you know, before that, I'm going to have, this is my point of no return. I got to have this much money saved. I got to be this far along, and then go like 3 months back. So you got a 1 month, a 3 month, a 6 month, and by 1 year, you know exactly where you got to be. If you do anything for me tonight, guys, do that. And if you don't have 3 things, just pick 1, man. Just pick 1. I'm going to give you homework. I bet nobody's ever done that on your show, huh, Hannibal?
Not yet. I read that you had open heart surgery last year, I believe. Is that what woke you up a little bit to that?
No, man.
Can you show us that closer? Sorry. That's
dude,
crazy.
it's legit, dude. It's like, it actually healed pretty well, but I had my shit cracked, dude. It was gnarly. What woke me up, I'll tell that story too if we got time, but what woke me up is in 2013, yeah. 2012, I found out my brother, I have one brother, he's 5 years younger. Great kid, man. He was doing really well financially. He was in the real estate industry. He was on his 3rd wife, so we knew something was weird, but he admitted he had been using meth. And I didn't know anything, didn't know nothing about meth, man. I'm like, okay, it's like Coke, right? It's, you know, I don't know. I blame myself for not being more informed. But yeah, what's up, Sam? Zipper Club for life, bro. And stuff was weird, man. Like, there were some weird incidences with him. Like, we couldn't put 2 and 2 together, and he was just paranoid all the time. And then he came out, and I believed him. Like, I didn't realize when people are using meth, they spin stories, and they get super paranoid, and they lie because they think it's a reality. But I always believed him because he was my brother. And then he came out and told us he was using meth, and I started realizing what was happening. And I remember it was like, I owned a digital marketing business before, so we did websites and stuff. And so I designed his website for him. and my name was on the domain, and he had gotten in some legal trouble with what he was doing. Well, his client ended up suing me too for whatever my brother did because my name was on the website. And so we got this, like, I was really upset. I was borrowing money from my parents at the time. This is how well I did after WWE, guys. Like, I left, I had nothing to show for it. I was borrowing money from my parents to survive, pay my rent every month. It was horrible. I was 33 years old and borrowing money from my parents. Like, that sucked. That was humbling. And so I'm in all this legal trouble. This guy's suing me, bro. I was mad. I was really mad at him. And I remember he called me in November, and he's like, bro, I'm like, the CIA's at my door. I'm in a hotel. And I'm like, nah, dude, you're just high. I'm like, you got to fly down. I was in Northern California. He was in Southern California. He's like, you got to fly down right now. I'm like, bro, I'm not flying down, dude. I'm like, no way I'm flying down. When you get sober, then you call me. And I hung up on him. And we didn't talk, dude. Christmas morning, he FaceTimed us with his family. So he's got his wife and his 2 kids, real young kids. And I just hear something's wrong in his voice, but I'm still mad, still thinking, hey, there's another day, there's tomorrow. Like, we'll figure this out someday. So I'm telling you guys, like, you think there's another day. And I remember my mom, like, hey, say hi to your brother. And from across the room, I'm just like, oh, hey, what's up, dude? How you doing, bro? Merry Christmas. And then I walked away because I was mad. I didn't want to talk to him. And the plan was the next day he was going to get in his car, drive up. My dad was going to put him in rehab. His wife said, if you don't go to rehab, I'm going to divorce you. So he packed up his truck, met a buddy. They went to an indoor shooting range, and he loaded the gun and shot himself in the head. That was my big awakening. I'd never thought about death and the process of dying. And it's just not, it's like Shad. It's not supposed to happen. I didn't know it was that bad. Like, my parents didn't know it was that bad. Like, nobody knew. And so that was the giant eye opener. And that's what started Body Spartan. So my current company is Body Spartan. And I was a wreck. Like, I couldn't think straight. I couldn't work. And I promised myself, I said, look, I'm never, ever going to miss an opportunity to help someone, no matter what it costs me. I don't care who they are, what they need. And I sat, I'm like, what do I do to help people? Like, what do I know? I'm like, oh, I can help people with fitness. Like, I know how to lift weights. I know how to do nutrition. And so I wrote a book. I wrote an ebook, and it was the Genesis program, which is now like our flagship program that we have for Body Spartan. But it was because of him that, like, we created this incredible business. And it wasn't about, it started off with fitness, but it became so much more. It became about motivation and finding your purpose. And there's some really incredible stories that have come from Body Spartan and from this terrible tragedy, man, with my brother, where like one guy was watching one of our motivational videos, and it was me. It was one of our first ones I did. And it was in one of our stringer hoodies. It was kind of like, looked like a Jedi almost. But it was just about, you got 24 hours in a day. And it's like, everybody's got 24 hours in a day. And it's what you do with it that makes the difference. And this guy had decided to end his life. His mom had died tragically. He had a wife and kids, and he took all his blood pressure pills. And he was just scrolling through Facebook, waiting for those things to kick in and to end it, waiting for the end to happen. And he comes across this motivational video we did for Body Spartan. And he just was so moved by it that he threw up every one of his pills, every single one of them, counted them. And from that point forward, he decided to change his life. And it was like a year later, he contacts me. He goes, yo, you don't know me, but I got to tell you my story. I'm like, yeah, man, like, tell me, like, what's up? When you on the phone? Like, what's going on, dude? He hit me up on Facebook Messenger, I think. And he starts telling me a story. I'm like, what the hell, bro? He's like, all I want to do is, like, I want to fly out on my dime, get a workout in with you, and shake your hand and take you to dinner. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, whoa, dude. I'm like, I'm the one that should be shaking your hand, man. He's like, nope, I'm coming out. Just tell me if that's cool. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, man. So he flew out. He flew out. We did a workout. We filmed the video. His story is amazing. It's on Body Spartan. I'll see if I can get you that link, man. It's like an incredible story. And I ended up, we went to dinner, went to like a nice steakhouse. I wasn't going to let him pay. I'm like, look, I got this, bro. Like, let me please get this for you. So we're at dinner and we're having dessert, and he presents me with this gift. And he hands me this gift. I open it, and he goes, this belonged to my grandfather. My grandfather, he was like a war hero. It's a Purple Heart is what it was. He like saved a bunch of lives in the war. He's like, it was given to my grandfather. It was given to my dad. My dad gave it to me. And I'm giving it to you because you saved my life. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, this is heavy, man. And we've had multiple things like that have happened with Body Spartan. And it's, from something terrible comes something really beautiful, something really amazing. And it's all because you don't know if tomorrow's promised to you.
Do you want to give us some more information on where people can look up Body Spartan and what it is exactly?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So bodyspartan.com is the website. We're online fitness programs. So we have 8 different in-gym programs, a couple of ebooks to go along with it too. And we are on a monthly subscription. So it's $19.99 a month, but you get 14 days to try everything for free. And our app for Android just dropped. So the Android app is out. There's still a bug or two in there we're working on. iOS comes out in about 20 days. We had to use Apple Pay. And if we didn't, they booted us. So we're reprogramming for Apple Pay. But everything is it's web friendly right now. So if you use Safari in your iOS, you still get the same experience. But yeah, it comes with 100% custom nutrition. Most of you guys may not know my wife, Priscilla. She's a master sports nutritionist. So she designs all the algorithms. Basically, you type in your info, it spits out all your nutrition, your macros for each program, workout videos, instructional videos, 12-week programs, calculates your heart rate, your cardio, like everything you have to do from start to finish in every one of the programs. And then we got daily workouts too. So we've got 2 brand ambassadors that work for me, and they do workouts here actually in my house downstairs. We screwed in during the scamdemic, dude. We screwed in hooks in the walls because all the gyms closed, and that was how we would make our money. Like people would sign up, they do our in-gym programs. Like, well, shit, gyms are closed, we're screwed. So I bought a set of resistance bands off Amazon for like $60, and they go up to 150 pounds. And I did resistance band workouts every day during the pandemic. And it took off like a rocket. So I hired this guy and this girl to do them because I'm back at the gym now. So you guys get like daily workouts as well. You can follow along with. But we've got supplements, apparel, the whole 9 yards, and we've got free workouts on the site as well. So yeah, go check it out, guys. We're on Facebook too. If you go to Body Spartan, all of our videos are on Facebook. That's really where we live. We don't have a lot of stuff on. We have YouTube, but I just never took the time to build it. But if you go to Facebook, man, like there's constantly fun stuff coming out there.
And I believe you have a personal Twitter account. Where else can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, Twitter, Gabe Tuft. Instagram, Gabe Tuft. I try to keep Instagram all motorcycle and fitness stuff. I race motorcycles for anybody that doesn't know. I do road racing, so it's like crotch rockets, close to 180 miles an hour. So there's a lot of that. I know it's kind of like a weird thing it's just one other weird sport that I do. So Instagram's like all moto stuff and fitness. Twitter is a little bit of, I'm a pretty political guy. So like, I tried so hard to stay away from politics. But I couldn't, man. I had to voice my opinion. Like, and if you guys hate me for it, I'm sorry. I'm just being as real as possible. I have some very specific opinions. I'll tell you guys right now, I'm a fucking patriot, dude. I bleed red, white, and blue, and that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to script this podcast. So they got a freaking flag flying out front of my house. Like I'm just, like I'm 2A all the way. I've got every gun imaginable, little arsenal. So that's me, man. But don't let that take you aback from the good things that are happening at Body Spartan. And if you want to follow me on Instagram for fun, there's fun stuff we do on Instagram. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot more stuff we can cover. We might have to have you back another time, but
yeah, man, we can talk about heart surgery next time. That was crazy.
Yeah. The last question I'll throw in here, because you had about 5 fans ask it, was your interactions with John Cena.
I could never make a podcast without talking about that. It's so funny. Was there anything specific they wanted to know, or just kind of the general story?
I don't know anything about this story. It just a bunch of them came up, ask him about Cena.
Yeah, man. So like I said, I don't want to talk bad about people. I try not to. So if you guys notice, I didn't bring this up. And I remember, yeah, there you go, Sam. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. I saw that question pop up. So again, this is just my experience. People, I remember when I left, they're like, well, he's just bitter that, you got fired. I'm like, for the record, guys, I didn't get fired. I walked in one day after realizing that I wasn't able to be a dad and be on the road. My daughter was 8 months old. She'd cry every time I left. My wife and her came to SummerSlam. I couldn't even see him because I was so busy. And like, it was after SummerSlam, the day after I quit. I walked into Raw. And I just was like, guys, this is when Hawkins and I were getting our push too. We're getting a huge push to be strippers. we got Hunter and Vince behind us. So like they're probably gonna give us the titles. And I just walked in like, I'm done, dude. I want to go be a dad. Like I can't wait forever. And just back to that thing, like tomorrow, man, you may not get tomorrow. So you know what happens when little girls grow up without dads? And I didn't want my little girl to grow up without a dad. So I just walked in through the town like, deuces, guys. I'm in Fresno. I'm driving home. I lived like 5 hours from there. Like I'm driving home. See you later. And I left. So that being said, people came out and on Twitter like, oh, he's just bitter. That's why he's talking shit about Cena. I'm like, no, that's not why. This is really what happened. So basically, I was using the burning hammer, which nobody was using. It's basically an inverted FU, but it's way cooler. So it's like you put the guy on your back, torture rack style, but I would invert them completely, pull on their head, they'd moonsault over, and you'd sit out and DDT them. It was just rad. They'd land on their stomach. They'd take a flat bump. It was the coolest thing anybody's seen in a while. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to toot my own horn. The burning hammer was rad. And when they were grooming me to be that heel, Arn came up to me one day because they wanted me to start doing dark matches and stuff. And he's like, hey, kid, what's your finisher? And I said, oh, it's a burning hammer. And Arn's like, the burning what? And Goldust and I were super cool because we did house shows. He's like, hey, is it safe? I'm like, yeah. He's like, here, I'll take it for you. I'm like, okay. He's like, what do I do? I'll just, do this, do a quick moonsault off my, just go for the ride, bro. So, okay, cool. Flat bump. He's like, not going to hurt me? I'm like, nah, you'll be fine. So I had everybody out there, including Cena. And I hit it on Goldust before the show. Everybody's like, oh, God. Goldie gets up. And he's like, you okay? Yeah, I didn't even feel it, man. It was fine. And headset. Okay, Vince likes it. Go ahead, guys. You're clear to use it. All right, cool. So, mind you guys, Cena is sitting right there where he sits at the Spanish announce table every day before practice or before the show. Saw the whole thing. So I used it for like 6 months, man. Oh, thanks, Rico. Appreciate that, bro. So I used it for like 6 months. I used it in bragging rights. Like I eliminated Santino with it 3 feet from him. He's like on the ropes and I used it right in front of him. Never said a word, dude. Like, never said a word. So I have no reason to think that there's any problem with me using it. It's totally different than his. It's not a fireman's carry. I mean, it looks totally different. So long story short, I'm using this for 6 months in front of Cena, literally in front of him. And I get drafted to Raw with Hawkins. And we're on the road. First week on the road, we're doing a house show loop. And I'm working Primo. And it was me over. So we're hitting the burning hammer for the finisher. Killer match. We're like third out, killer match. Go for the burning hammer. And something happened like in the process. Primo never taken it. And he kind of went over like sideways. It looked kind of crappy. He still sit out DDT, and I can see where it like kind of might have infringed on Cena's FU a little bit. So I come back through the curtain. Again, thinking nothing of it. Come back through the curtain. All the boys are back there, and Cena looks up. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna have to get you a new finisher." And I was like, "Oh yeah, dude. Hey, sorry, man. We'll get it right. We kind of screwed it up tonight. We'll hit it right tomorrow." I was like, "All right, cool." And so I'm thinking he's joking, And given what I said, like, "Hey, we'll get it right tomorrow. We kind of screwed it up. It'll be better." Knowing that I did it in front of him many, many times, and he knows exactly what it is. Next day, we go to the next show, and Primo's like, "Hey, should we change it?" I'm like, "No, dude." I'm like, "John's seen me do it a million times. Like, he doesn't have a problem with it. I think he was just saying, get it right, so it doesn't look like his FU." Like, okay, cool. If you think so, I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. I think we're fine." So go out there, I hit it perfect, like sweet, great match. Crowd goes whatever, wild, whatever you want to call it. I walk back, and he's there, like. The second I walk back from the curtain, within an earshot of everybody on the roster, he's like, "Hey, come here." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, bro?" And he's like, "Didn't I tell you to get a different fucking finisher?" Whoa. I'm like, "Yo, dude, I'm sorry, man." He's like, "Yeah, you better be fucking sorry. You're fucking deaf." It just starts like belittling me like I'm 6 years old and he's my dad. And yelling at me and like pointing at me with his finger like in my chest and shit. I'm like, "Dude," I'm sorry, man. I've done this in front of you before. Like, you never said anything. He's like, "Well, I'm telling you fucking now, get another fucking, do you like working here?" Well, yeah, I like working here. He's like, "You do it again, you're fired." I'm like, "Bro, I thought this is just a giant miscommunication." He's like, "No, you're just fucking dumb." I'm like, okay. I'm like, I got to be dreaming, dude. I'm like, this cannot be real. And so I walked outside. I was hot, man. I walked outside. I remember Bones, the referee, comes out. He's like, "You okay, Gabe?" I'm like, "No, dude." I'm like, "I'm not okay. I just got yelled at by Cena. He's not even my dad. I'm like, this is dumb. I feel like a kid. Like, I'm gonna quit. And he's like, no, dude, don't quit. I'm like, no, I'm done. Nobody treats me like that. He's like, no, dude, don't. Just cool off, cool off. Okay. So it took a couple minutes. And I'm just trying to put this all together in my head, like figure out what's going on. Well, this is the weirdest interaction I've had with anybody ever. And so I walk back in and I see him at the curtain. He's kind of like peeking through, watching the next match. And he's sitting in a chair. So here I go. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try this one more time. So I walk up and I like get on a knee alongside of him just to like be super humble. And I'm like, hey, John. And he does this. He's like, looks over like that. I'm like, look, man, I just want you to know, I really misunderstood what you were saying. It's just a big like miscommunication on my part. It's like, because you don't fucking listen. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, dude. I'm like, I'll change it. Bye. And I got up and just walked out. Like, never used it since, dude. So that was like my interaction with him. I didn't talk to him for like 8 months. I felt stupid, it was just made me feel like a 6-year-old. And it's my own fault for not standing up for myself. Again, one of my biggest things is we're in control of everything in our life. Like everything that happens, we're in control of. And that situation, looking back, I could have taken control of the situation. Would it have ended differently? Yeah, totally. Could I have gotten fired? Yeah, probably. Might have happened. So yeah, I mean that was one, and then there was another where like 8 months later, Hawkins and we just don't give two fucks anymore. Like we got demoted to NXT, which is kind of interesting because this is where I got my philosophy about not caring about what other people think. One of my biggest philosophies is when you stop caring about what other people think, that's when you unlock your true potential. And so if you just don't give two fucks like about anything, man, like you be you, like you're going to unleash a power like you've never seen before. And so that's kind of what happened. It started in NXT. I mean, we weren't awesome. we just didn't give two fucks about anything. And we like, if they're going to fire us, they're going to fire us, but we're going to do what we want. So we were coming up on NXT and enjoying it because we just didn't care. And we were having a lot of fun. Hawkins had this killer idea and he wanted to get fired on TV. He's like, hey, dude, I got a killer idea. We got to like, who do I talk to about this? And he told me, and basically it was like, we get fired on TV and then we start sneaking in, like doing little things like coming in through we sneak in with signs. We're in the crowd one day with a sign like, oh, look, there's Hawkins Reks, man. And then, then we're a little closer the next week with another sign. Then we're in the front row the week after. And then we jump the rail or no, we don't jump. It's like we're getting dressed as janitors or something. And then we're going to like sneak in and fucking jump somebody. It was just like this awesome thing that you could never do but one time. And so Hawkins goes, I'm going to talk to John. I'm like Cena? I'm like, yeah. He's like, him and I are pretty tight. I'm like, okay, bro. I'm like, your lead. It's your thing. So we go talk to Cena. I hadn't said one word to him since our incident. And I'm sure he didn't, like, I'm nobody to him, So I'm sure he didn't think anything beyond that night. So we tell him, and he's just like, don't you tell anybody about this. This is a really good idea. He goes, go to the promo room right now and get with Brooklyn Brawler. He's like, put it on a DVD for us. And I'm going to take it tonight. I'll be on the jet with Vince and I'm going to talk to him about it. We're like, well, that's hella cool. Like, okay, cool. So we run in there, put the whole like scenario on DVD. We explain everything on DVD. We write it out. Like we have to like, here you go, bro. Here you go. Get it done. He's on the jet next week. Like, hey, did you get a chance to talk to Vince? He's like, yeah, dude, it was a good talk, man. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, just sit tight. We're going to work it out. Like, all right, cool. Well, so that's 1 week. Week 2, guess who gets fired on TV? Miz and Morrison. It was like, well, no, it was Miz and R-Truth. That's who it was. It wasn't Morrison. It was Miz and R-Truth. They got fired on TV. And I looked at Hawkins and he looks at me and we're like, this looks really familiar. We're like, there's no way this is just coincidence. So we wrote it out. And Hawkins goes and talks to John. He's like, hey, dude, like, did they just steal our shit? He's like, no, dude, this is totally different angle. I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah, totally different. Like, you guys are still good. Well, okay. So we walk away. The next week, well, guess who's in the fucking stands? Like R-Truth and Miz with like signs. And just like, it's our whole thing that we laid out for John on a DVD. And then in the end, guess who they're working the angle with? Fucking John. At one point, Hawkins just walks up to him, and Paul Burchill, I don't know if you guys remember Burchell. He was around for a while, but he's
Pirate guy.
yeah, you remember Burchell, dude? He used
Yeah.
to say he would pitch shit and Creative would just steal it. He'd steal it every time. He was so mad. He's like, I'm never pitching anything ever again. And we called it getting Burchelled. And so he walks up to Cena. He's like, okay, dude, you got to level with me, man. Did we get Burchelled? And he looks back at Hawkins and he's like, yeah, you got Burchelled. And Hawkins like, all right, thanks. Walk away. So he just blatantly stole our shit. And at that point, I'm like, done, dude. I'm done. Like, I'm never talking to this dickhead again, dude. Not only did he make me feel like a 6-year-old, but now he stole my shit. I'm like, good stuff, man.
And for the fans that don't know, that time when he yelled at you after the match, with the hierarchy that there is backstage, if you had stood up for yourself, you would have been fired, and you were also probably shocked and kind of like surprised, so you didn't really know how to react. I imagine.
No, I mean that's the poster boy of the company. Like, how I knew, like, if I said anything, I was fired. I had to make a decision. Like, do I shut up and say nothing and keep my job, or do I stand up for myself and lose my job? Because it's literally how it is. Like, he has all that power, or had all that power. I mean, he did shit like that to Kylie. Like, what was it? Alex Riley. Like, when Alex was with Miz and doing his thing, Cena wanted him to come on the bus, dude. Like, Cena's got his own bus. He goes to every show. And, you know, Kylie was getting initiated. And he was just, there was so much drinking. Like, Kevin just couldn't hang, dude. He was like, I can't even perform, bro. Like, I'm on my deathbed, bro. He's like, one night we're walking out and Kylie's there and Cena's like, Riley, let's go. And I say Kylie because his name's Kevin Kylie, guys. You guys know him as Alex Riley, but I know him as Kylie. So he's like, Riley, let's go. And Kevin's just like, dude, I'm gonna ride with so-and-so. And I was like, no, you're going with me. He's like, John, I can't, man. I promised so-and-so I'd drive for him. He's like, no, get on the bus right now. And Riley's like, I just need a break, dude. And Cena looks at him like that. And that was the end of Riley, dude. After that, he was buried. Like, he lost everything from that day forward. And we caught him one day too. We walked into the locker room. We had left. And one of the cardinal sins in the locker room is to go through somebody's bag. You just do not do it. Like, that's ground for like wrestlers court. Like, you just do not do it. We'd all left. We're out practicing. We come back in. And there's John rifling through Kylie's bag. And he pulls out like a bottle of BCAAs. He's like, you think this shit's legal? Is this legal? Kylie's like, yeah, I bought it at fucking Max Muscle, dude. It's like, it's BCAAs. He's like, what about this? Just like pulling out O'Reilly's supplements out of his bag. And we're just like, dude, you're really reaching, man. Like, the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, you just trying to get Kylie fired. Like, it was just insane, man. All right, I've trashed enough. I want to leave everybody on a high note. I'm trying to talk nice. I'm like, oh, Rex is the most positive person in the world. Here I'm just totally bashing on.
Well, you were too nice for wrestling by the sounds of it.
I was way too nice for wrestling.
That's the one advantage. If you'd been on the independent scene more first, you would have realized a little bit more probably of how some people are.
Yeah.
Before you got up to the big stage.
Yeah, I think I missed out on that big time.
So we'll let you close this up with a positive note. I'll give you the floor. Thanks a lot for going over and above your time and giving us some great stories.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, let's do this, man. You know, I've got No Fate tattooed on my knuckles for a reason. And it's like I said earlier, guys, you are in control of your life. I didn't believe that for the longest time. I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction. But if we look at every situation that you've ever been in, you know, the words that come out of our mouths, the decisions that we make, the things that we do in every situation, they dictate a path. It's like you go left or you go right. And you're in full control. No matter how much emotion's involved, no matter who's involved, no matter what it is, you can always do something to dictate your path. And so just remember, you are in control. You are 100% in control of your life. We all have 24 hours in a day. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. And it's what you do with those 24 hours that dictates your final path in life, where you're going, what you're going to do, what you're going to be. And like we talked about tonight, like, life is short. And you hear that and it's so cliche, but I mean it, man. It's so short. And here I am, 42 years old, man. It's like my life is more than half over. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be. So I'm taking steps daily. And I hope you guys are doing that too. I hope you listened earlier and I hope you wrote down those 3 things that you wanted to do that you've never done. no matter how outrageous they are. And I hope you wrote a date at the end saying, I got to have them done by this date. I hope you started working backwards during this podcast or this live stream, because you are in full control. And the second you stop caring about what other people think and you start taking care of you, that is the day that you unlock your true potential. So what are you waiting for? Go do it. And on that note, we're out of here.